Might be kind of hard to picture it now, but come spring of 2026, this construction site right behind me, which is at the entrance to downtown Aurora, just steps away from the Aurora train station, right next door to River Edge Park. This is going to be the home to a 5-story luxury apartment complex with 258 apartments, a dog park, a swimming pool, so many great amenities. And it's just the start of so many great things, great developments coming to Aurora. This is the residences at Eastbank, and it's featured on this episode of This is Aurora. Thank you for joining us for this episode of This is Aurora. My name is Danielle Tofano. I'm your host, and I'm joined today by our Director and Assistant Director of Economic Development here at the City of Aurora, David Debo and Trevor Dick, and a very special guest for this episode, Danny Resco, who is the President of DAC Development. Thank you all three for joining us. This is such an exciting episode because one of the most exciting things I think that is happening in the City of Aurora is the development, Danny, that your organization, that your development group is a part of, that we've referred to for quite some time as the DAC Development, but now we're referring to it as the residents at Eastbank, right?
Yep.
And so let's talk a little bit about this beautiful new resident development that's coming to the City of Aurora. First of all, why did you choose the City of Aurora to come and work with? And this has been quite some time that this has been in the works, right?
Yeah, it sure has. Thanks, Danielle, for letting me be on. But we were just finishing a suburban Chicago project, and we were looking for what's next. And something that we did in that development was we came in to a downtown that was looking to revitalize and kind of reimagine their downtown and bring residences into the downtown. And I'll never forget, it was the summer of 2019, and we had a couple of brokers put a packet together of about 20 different sites all over the state, really, from as far north as Highland Park, as far south as LaGrange, and as far west as, you can imagine. And we drove them, and we were looking for, these characteristics that make a development go. And I'll never forget that day, the only economic development director that met us on site that day was Dave Debo. And he met us in that parking lot that is now the residences at Eastbank and in construction. And from the get-go, he was so excited. He expressed the mayor's commitment and the entire city's, commitment to seeing something done here. And that was the start of it. Obviously, fast forward 5 years, many discussions, conversations, plans, and all the rest, and here we are. Couldn't be happier.
This is a lot more than just a business transaction, too. This started with, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, that partnership and that relationship building between the economic development group and the mayor. Last week at our groundbreaking ceremony, the mayor spoke so highly of you. It was like you guys were brothers.
Yeah.
It just seemed like you can tell that relationship is really there.
Yeah, I mean, these, as I said at the ceremony, these projects are labors of love. You have to really love it. And it's also a relationship business. I mean, that is for sure. These are big projects, and there are contracts and there are agreements and there's all these things, but at the end of the day, you deal with people. Mm-hmm. And if you can't look someone in the eye and say, I screwed that up, that one's on me, or sorry, Mayor, there's this delay, or, and vice versa, you'll never get anywhere. And so that personal relationship is super important. And sometimes you have a few meetings and you don't jam, and then you know that this isn't the right project. In this case, it was incredible from the jump.
So David Debo and Trevor Dick from the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. This is the first development ground up in downtown Aurora in 20 years. Trevor, let's talk about why is this so important to the City of Aurora?
Thanks, Danielle. And, it's hard for me to put into words in a short amount of time how important it is. We think, especially in terms of economic development, this project is a game changer. We've said that a couple of projects over the last couple of years, but This one, we really do believe is going to be such a significant benefit to our downtown, to our entire city, to have new residents living in the downtown in what we call a transit-oriented development, to be able to walk to the train station or walk to the downtown, not to be so reliant on automobile, but being able to walk around and enjoy the amazing amenities on the Fox River. And especially for existing businesses in the downtown, I think having this many residents living within close proximity is just going to be fantastic.
I feel like not just Aurora, but if you look down the Fox River, a lot of communities were at certain times looking to face away from the river. And it seems like that's really changing, that everybody wants to now look at the river. Like that's kind of changing with the way that developments are, which is kind of cool. So this is a great example of that. And there's kind of a ripple effect that will come with that. So this is how we're kind of starting, and we're probably going to see a lot more of this.
Yeah, and I think especially coming from a planning background, this is something that planners have been trying to do for decades. And you're right, towns such as Aurora, a lot of the communities up and down the Fox River, well actually nationwide, would use the river as their sewer or their waste. And now thankfully, it's taken a long time, but now what was once, and you'll see here I think in a couple of minutes, what was once an industrial site, now being a new residential development is just amazing. And I want to kind of tip my hat to all the other planners and city officials that were before us. For decades, they've had multiple plans, community-driven, long-range planning documents that have tried to imagine this, to try and bring mixed-use development to the riverfront, and to see it actually happening is so exciting.
David, we hear people talk a lot about public-private partnerships with cities and municipalities. Why did the city of Aurora have so much interest in investing in something like this?
Well, as Trevor mentioned, the idea of having a residential project right on the edge of downtown, across from the train station, these TODs, they call them, transit-oriented development, was really a major part of what we wanted to have happened. It just does so much for the community in terms of, we think probably it's 258 units, so we're thinking about at least 400 people will be living there. So just to give you a perspective, that's 3 times larger than the building that was built, let's say in River Street Plaza in 2007. So it's just a significant amount of people coming here. But to me, it also, it's not just Danny and the city. There were lenders, so there were a lot of people who are showing a tremendous amount of faith in this city. It's one thing for someone to buy something, it's another thing for a lender to come in and say, you know something, I verify what you're doing, what you're saying, I believe in these projections, I believe in this city. And I think we got a lot of that over the last couple of months, a lot of faith in Danny, but a lot of faith in Aurora as well.
Now, Danny, 40 years ago, there was once a building at this location that was demolished. And since the developers have come in and kind of started going through this area, a lot of stuff has been found in the ground and in that area. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that have been found in the area as crews have begun to dig?
Yeah, I mean, Brian and Terry, I'm sure they gave you a lot more, and they had the maps and working with the historical society here in town. But just with my own eyes, it was unbelievable to see some of this stuff, Danielle. I mean, underground tunnels, and we could only see one side of it. And you go down, and as far as the eye could see, these are old industrial buildings, and that's how they used to transfer heat, right, from one spot to another, just through these tunnels, and then of course the heat rises. We saw old concrete foundations that were maybe 100 years old, very unique. We took a ton of pictures, and I think some of those pictures might end up in the building once it's done, because it's
cool.
Pretty neat, and it's an ode to the city's history.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the oldest cities, certainly in the state, and it, on the one hand, challenging, on the other hand, pretty neat to see.
It's interesting that you bring up challenges, because I know that along the way, we're still in kind of the building phase of this development.
Right.
There have been challenges that you've kind of come across, whether it be interest rates or just different hurdles that you've come across. Can we talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, sure. How long do we have the studio for? Yeah, I mean, going back to summer of 2019, we started kind of doing our initial due diligence and market studies and architectural plans and this sort of thing. And then, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic, February, March 2020 started. And that, of course, derailed or maybe deprioritized from the city of Aurora's perspective, from our perspective, kind of, wow, this is a whole new state of the world. What does this even mean for building, for construction, for development, for housing, all these sorts of things. And, that was just the first. And then you had, the resulting inflationary spikes and the impact that it had on construction materials, interest rates, and all the rest. And, really without, boring everybody too much, I mean, all of those challenges and then some, but really it's the perseverance of these gentlemen to my right, the mayor, and everyone here at City Hall for, their commitment to the project. Because maybe it would have been easy to say, now is not the right time, or let's, there are other things that, maybe we need to focus on. But I think we all knew that this was sort of a beacon of hope coming out of COVID and all these challenges, and a way to kind of stake a shovel in the ground, literally, and say, you know what, we're Aurora, and we got through this, and we're here to stay. And DAC Developments, our company's right there with them, and I know ENC Construction is right there with them, and here we all are. So certainly challenges, but we've overcome them, and here we are today.
Speaking of ENC Construction, we actually had a couple minutes to sit down and speak with some of the individuals from ENC Construction to hear some of their thoughts and their processes with this project. And here's a little bit of what they had to say.
My name is Brian Goss, project manager for ENC Construction and Development. Right now we are on the 100 North Broadway construction site where the residence is at Eastbank. We're looking to hopefully go vertical with construction here in the next couple of months and really get off to a great start here in Aurora.
ENC, we're a small company, but we're doing big projects as far as development for multifamily, single family, and then the hospitality industry. We specialize in smaller multifamily, 8, 10, 12, 20 units. This is one of our largest projects that we're currently developing. Timeline, we're looking at finishing in spring of 2026. We had some hiccups in the beginning, finding a lot of old stuff that's been here for hundreds of years. We did a little bit of research with the Historical Society, and they gave us some photographs and all stuff, and it kind of made sense once we started seeing what was here at one point.
So far, some of the craziest stuff we found are definitely some massive 12-foot diameter concrete piers. We've found buildings dating back to the 1890s that we believe service steam across the whole entire city. This used to be an old foundry, so it had a lot of heat. We think this is where the source came from. These apartments are super unique because we've got half the site overlooking the whole Fox River.
You have the concert venue, you have Metro literally steps across the street to get to downtown. So for different people, this is a destination.
Love working with Aurora. I've spent many meetings with the Director of Economic Development, the mayor, the whole Department of Building and Permit staff. It's really been a great process.
Aurora's good. They got automation, different things that we work with. I've always had good results out here. We're just excited to get going and go vertical on this building.
ENC Construction and Development is super excited to be working on this project, and we cannot wait to bring these apartments to the market in spring of 2026.
So there's a lot of people that are involved in a large project like this, Danny, and I know ENC is obviously one of the companies that have come in. Can you tell us about some of the others that have been a part of this? And I know one question that the mayor likes to hear answered is, how many jobs has this development created for the Aurora area?
Sure. Yeah. It's again, it takes a village. Something I've said before, and just the on-site construction workers, about 350 full-time jobs were created with this project. When you extract that to all of the folks involved in the job, architects, engineers, part-time construction workers, once the building is operational, you'll have property staff, you'll have cleaners, landscapers, etc. It's 1,000 jobs created with this project. It's pretty neat. It takes a lot of people to do something like this. And to your point, Danielle, we're DAC Developments, so we're the development company, kind of working with the city, putting it all together. And then ENC Construction, they're the general contracting firm, so they kind of manage the project site from zero to a finished building. We also have an architectural firm, Papa George Hames and Partners. They're a world-renowned Chicago-based architectural firm. We have Stanton Interior Concepts. They're an interior designer. We have Pierce Engineering. They're a structural engineering company. We have Terra. They're a civil engineering company. I could go on and on. There are a lot of folks working really hard behind the scenes to turn this project into a reality.
Now, Trevor, I mean, these are the first new apartments since 2008 in this area. What does a development like this do for downtown? I know that we touched on that a little bit, but like overall.
Yeah, well, I think one thing I want to talk about is the image and identity of showing how the city of Aurora and the downtown. We've always had a strong downtown, but the fact that it's becoming stronger and having a building like this in the downtown just signifies to not only the residents but also the development community that Aurora is open for business. I know that's kind of a generic tagline, but it truly is something that we believe in, and we really do believe that as Danny's project comes into the ground and it's successful, that's going to spur other developments along the riverfront. So we think it's just the first piece of many more projects to come.
And to kind of build off of that, David, this isn't something that really is just something that we've been planning. Meaning I'm including myself in that. But,
Totally.
We've been planning for the last 5 years. This is something that has really been decades in the making. We're talking master plans. We're talking visions that the city has had for quite some time, right?
Yeah, a long time. Again, you touched on it earlier. And Trevor just was mentioning it, and Danny about the jobs, but the benefits to the city. There's a real sophisticated process, and they call them these input-output tables, where you try to really look at what the real impact, the long-term impact would be. So you've got the shorter-term impact of the construction jobs and so on, but then you've got sales taxes, and people need to eat, and they're going to need a grocery store. So it's kind of a chicken and egg. Do you put the grocery store first and then wait and see where the residents come, or the other way around? And again, Danny said, something, I'm going to go and we'll get these other services that the city needs so badly. So it really is something that people have thought about a long time. The exciting thing about what's happening now in the city is that we're really looking at what it takes to really pull the trigger and take those pieces of paper, those great plans, and turn them into reality. And that's really what was exciting about this, was to take an idea and implement it and make it happen. Because this thing wouldn't have happened without pushing and going back and forth. And Danny talked about the relationship. The relationship was the foundation, so that when we went back, and Danny said, the lenders are getting a little bit more conservative now because there's certain things going on, so they'll lend this. We were able to look at it and try to figure out. But then what we contributed to the project, we know we're going to get back in terms of these taxes and jobs and all that other stuff. So it all works out.
So Danny, I know one thing that a lot of people want to know. I've seen some of photos from other developments that you've done, specifically in the suburbs of Chicago. But I know a lot of Aurora residents, or people thinking of relocating to Aurora, want to know what can they expect from these specific residences at Eastbank apartments that are coming to downtown Aurora. What will they look like? What will they include? What are the amenities?
Sure. Well, can't wait to finish and show you all. We'll do another segment then at the ribbon cutting. But first of all, fully amenitized building. So that gym membership you have right now, you don't need it. We'll have a fully stocked gym. We'll have an on-demand fitness studio for your yoga classes or your cardio routines. We'll have a massive, when you enter the lobby, there's a co-working center. There's a party room. There's a game room if you want to have buddies over and shoot pool or what have you. Ton of amenities in this building. And that's before you get into the outdoor space, which includes the pool courtyard that opens up to the river, which is my favorite part of the whole building. Outdoor barbecue stations, a dog park, and connecting to the Aurora pedestrian and bike pathways, which is really cool. To Trevor's point, kind of encouraging folks enjoy the amenities inside, but also this is activating the whole downtown. So get outside, get onto that bike or walk trail, get into the downtown and see what Aurora has to offer. About 30,000 square feet total of amenity spaces for the residents, including the indoor and outdoor spaces. The apartments themselves will be high-end, what we call, modern, urban design. You'll have, hardwood floors. You'll have full set of appliances, range, of course, fridge, freezer. You'll have a dishwasher. You'll have garbage disposal in the sink, so fully stocked kitchen. You'll have a workstation. So every apartment has, one of the things that came out of COVID, we're thinking, a lot of folks were working from home. So even though we have the co-working center amenity, we also have a workstation. So plenty of, work from home space, even in the smallest studios. Of course, bedrooms, nice air and glass exposure and that sort of thing. So we're super excited about it.
Are there 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom? How many are we talking about?
Yeah, there's a mix. So 258 apartments total. We have studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and even a small handful of 3 bedrooms.
Nice.
So with this being the first project like this in Aurora, we really wanted to cast the super wide net, be super welcoming to folks from different income brackets, different household sizes, whether you're, a single, just out of college or bachelor, or all the way to a family of 5. We think you can be welcome at the residences at Eastbank.
One thing that I think is pretty cool that I've seen is the parking situation, in that your parking space could be on the same floor as your actual apartment.
Yep.
That's pretty unique, right?
Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
it's a 5-story building, and it's also a 5-story parking garage. And we engineer these things so that you're exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an apartment on the 3rd floor, you drive up to the 3rd floor, you can unload your groceries, walk into the corridor, and there you are, at your front door.
Yeah, and that's not even to mention the amenities that are outside of the actual development. Steps away from River Edge Park, steps away from Downtown Aurora, steps away from the train to get you just about anywhere. So this is going to be the place to be. I kind of want to sell my house.
Yeah,
Move in there.
I'll send you the pre-leasing application,
That
Danielle.
sounds great. Any final words from anyone about our residences at Eastbank?
I just, I think you could just tell by the joy that we have right here, and the joy that we had when we had the groundbreaking the other day. It is truly joyous. It is exciting for the city, for the residents. It's the can-do culture of Aurora. It wasn't easy. I think every possible obstacle, COVID, I mean, who would have known? Even to try to meet and to try to figure out this stuff was not easy. But we worked through it. We worked the pace of it. So if there was a hiatus because things were so uncertain, we'd kind of let it be for a little bit. And then we said, okay, now let's go. And then we would go and just see how things went. And then we'd have to wait for the lenders or this one and that one. But we work together. I think there'll be a lifelong relationship here because we've really gotten to know each other. And then there's just so much more in front of us. So just thrilling and exciting and very much in keeping with what's been going on here in Aurora.
And Danny, remind us one more time the expected date that these apartments would be available.
Spring 2026.
Can't wait.
Yeah,
We're all going to move in there, right? We're all going to go
We'll have
swimming.
you
We're
all.
going to have a pool party.
3-bedroom.
There,
3-bedroom.
there you go.
There we go.
And Danielle, I just wanted to echo what Dave said. I mean, I can't tell you, having done this, number of years now, how wonderful it has been to work with these gentlemen to my right and everyone here at the city. I mean, the fact that we can go for a dinner, right, and try to hammer out the last couple deal points. I mean, you just don't see that everywhere. And a lot of times you try to do business and you're not welcome. You're maybe the enemy, or they're looking for, some ulterior motive or whatever it is. These guys, the exact opposite, just cut through the red tape. And obviously we go through all the processes and procedures, but it's just such a breath of fresh air. And I tell that to everybody in my community and the development community. Anyone who asks, really, it's and we hope to be here for a long time. I know we're certainly going to be looking to do more projects together and looking forward. But it all starts with the residences of Eastbank. So thanks for having us.
Well, Danny Resco, the president of DAC Developments, thank you so much for joining us, putting your trust in the city of Aurora, allowing us to work with you on something so special and something that really is going to drive us into the future at the city of Aurora. David Debo, Trevor Dick from the Mayor's Office of Economic Development.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of This is Aurora.
None of this happens without us working together. This deal almost fell apart so many times. But Danny said, I'm not going to let you down, Mayor. If you just stick with me, I promise you I'll make Aurora proud. I can't say that enough. He said that over and over. If you stick with me, believe me, I promise I'll make Aurora proud. This will be the flagship development of all the developments that I've done. I want to make sure that happens in Aurora for you, because now we're family. And that's what's important, brother. We're doing this together as family, because when this is done, we're going to have a whole lot of stuff to brag about, and we're going to have a whole lot more dinners, whole lot more fun together, because now we're family. So I want to say to the DAC team and all the DAC team, I want to say to all the workers out here and laborers, I want to say to everybody involved in this project, welcome home, welcome to Aurora. Thank you very much.